Truth Seekers, welcome back. Sack here. Today's March 9th, 2016. Today there's big news out of my city, Seattle. This morning, the headline that was dominating the mainstream was the blast in Seattle, which occurred in the Greenwood neighborhood in North Seattle. If you ever come to Seattle and you're looking for a less expensive place to hang out, Greenwood's a good spot. Lots of restaurants, bars, with a lot more affordable prices than the city. So, anyhow, this story, the big headline this morning, still the big headline today. I want to show you everything that stands out that is suspicious about the reporting of this story. They're saying a natural gas building leveled a building that housed 3 restaurants, coffee shop, completely gone, turned to nothing but rubble. And supposedly a natural gas leak is to blame. I am not buying this. I think these buildings were purposefully destroyed for ritual, possibly for profit motive. Perhaps somebody wants to build something else there. We're going to begin by watching the news coverage. I'm going to show you what's so suspicious about the time given of the blast based on the reasoning, natural gas leak. But let's just begin with the news coverage. We'll decode the story. I'm also going to recommend another channel. There's a YouTube channel. The author of that channel is from the UK, and they have been decoding Seattle-related stories in recent times showing that a disaster is pointing to Seattle, something that I am aware of. There's been lots of predictive programming for the city of Seattle in TV shows, movies. We'll get to all that. Let's begin with this news coverage of the blast this morning, courtesy of CNN. Here we go, Truth Seeker.
At approximately 1:43 a.m.
Did you hear that, Truth Seeker? 1:43 a.m. I'm going to link this CNN video in the description so you can watch yourself. I want you to hear that it's at 1:43 a.m. The reason 1:43 is so suspicious is because they're blaming it on a natural gas leak, which has gematria of 143. And this is how the Freemasons and Zionists operate, doing things by the numbers, coding the numbers, blaming things on false reasoning. In a moment, we'll talk about what's suspicious about this man giving us the information, including the 143 blast. Notice he's also at the corner of Greenwood and 84th Street. The blast happened between 84th and 85th Street. 85th Street is the main street through the area. 84, an important number to this nation. United States of America equals 84. This could also be a warning for the nation. Let's continue.
We received a mayday call from our firefighters on scene stating that there had been an explosion here on scene. At that point in time, we had one engine, one ladder, and one of our battalion chiefs here on scene, and they called for additional resources.
It just exploded, and I mean, I took off running, but when I turned back around, there was like debris like just coming down from the sky. It's probably one of the scariest things I've ever encountered.
So 1:43, that's closing time for bars in Seattle. That man was probably coming out of a nearby bar. There's many around there. Notice this man who gave us the 1:43 time. His last name is Scoggins, which has gematria of 39 the small way and 93 the big way. This blast comes early in the morning of March 9th, which can be written as 3/9 or 9/3, depending on where you are in the world. His name corresponding with the date. This guy says at 1:43, natural gas leak. With regards to 39, here's a tribute to history from the Freemasons. There were 39 signers on the Declaration of Independence. George Washington, the first signer. It was done on a date numerology of 130, matching the name gematria of Washington, which equals 130. I talked about this in my President's Day video. But let's just go through this piece by piece. CNN, as you saw in the video, it began explosion levels Seattle building. Washington equals 130. Explosion levels Seattle building equals 130. Coincidence? Again, Washington, the first of 39 signers on the Declaration of Independence. They also, CNN this morning had this top story, huge explosion rocks Seattle. This is what I saw when I woke up. Huge explosion rocks Seattle has 111 gematria. You just heard that man say when it first happened there was one engine, one battalion, one ladder on scene. 111, another special number to these people. They like triplets of numbers. 111, triplet. CNN often likes to code numbers of significance in their headlines. They'll keep them there for an hour. They'll change it to another number. They'll bring it back to the same number an hour later. 38 is a number that corresponds with fire and death. Both those words have that gematria. Fortunately, there's no reported deaths. Coffee shop blew up, restaurant, things that aren't open at 1:43 in the morning. So the date of the explosion, March 9th, 2016, date numerology of 48, 21, 28. Seattle in gematria sums to 19 and 28. And with regards to 19, they said the explosion happened at about 1:45, or as the man said, 1:43. If you take the hands of a clock for 1:45, that puts one hand on the 1 and the other on the 9. Kind of like 19 for the gematria of Seattle, which syncs up with the date as well. It happened in North Seattle, which has the exact same gematria as Washington, 49 and 58. Washington's the exact same way, 49 and 58. The explosion happened between 84th and 85th Street, 85 the reflection of 58. Freemasonry equals 58 and 67. Remember, George Washington, 33rd degree Freemason, died at age 67. There's a 333-foot tall in Alexandria, Virginia, built in his honor. Seattle in simple English gematria sums to 82, the reflection of 28. This happened in the Greenwood neighborhood again. Greenwood, the small way is 52, the big way 106. The word prophecy, the big way equals 106, the small way 52. And a part of me wonders if this story is foreshadowing something much more devastating for the city, for the region, maybe even the nation. Natural gas leak, the small way, 44, the big way 143, like the time of the explosion, 143. 44 is always an interesting number. That's the kill number. In this case, the buildings were killed. Okay, so moving on. They said the gas leak was blamed on the local energy provider, Puget Sound Energy. I don't want to trash them too hard because they're my energy provider, and I appreciate having the power on. But notice the gematria of Puget Sound Energy, 216. If you're new to my channel, I'm talking about how 2016 is the year of 666. And the reason for that is because it's being coded a lot into news stories right now. Also, for these reasons, 2016 in numerology, 0 doesn't count, so it becomes a lot like 216. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216, a backhanded way of getting to 666. 2016, in numerology, 20 plus 16 equals 36. You could do it one more time, 3 plus 6 is 9, but if you stop at 36, what's interesting about that number is that if you add up every number up to 36, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way up to 36, it sums to 666. And also factoring 666 plus 666 plus 666 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 sums to 2016. And to appreciate this, you have to see how many times we've got a news story with a deliberate 666 put into it. This connection through Puget Sound Energy, not the strongest, but it is interesting that this company who provides the gas line is being blamed for the explosion that leveled 3 restaurant buildings and damaged several other buildings in the area, shattered the glass across the street of other buildings. CNN's article this morning when I got up was updated at 8:20 Eastern Time. Seattle equals 82. I don't think that's a coincidence. They updated it in the afternoon. It might still be this way. At 2:16, just like Puget Sound Energy, CNN loves to code their timestamps, as does the rest of the media. For those of you who are new here and think that sounds insane, I understand why you think it sounds insane, but if you follow and learn what I'm teaching, you're going to see how often it's done. This is how the powers that be operate. The Freemasons, secret society operating on esoteric knowledge who have their people in all sorts of places: media, police, fire departments, government, and more. From the reporting, the Seattle Fire Department tweeted around 3:30 a.m. that 67 personnel, including firefighters, commanders, and medics, were on site. Remember, 33 is the number of Freemason obsession. I just said Freemasonry equals 67. George Washington dead at 67. All signs of the tribute that is. Remember, the Masons believe in order through chaos. Blowing up buildings and blaming it on a gas leak fits right into this model. Remember, the Masons are builders. They probably want to build something where they blew up those buildings. And yes, I do think it's safe to assume that they are responsible for this. I highly doubt a gas leak just leveled buildings like that. Not very realistic. Again, Freemasonry equals 58 and 67. Washington equals 49 and 58, the overlap. In Greenwood, just down the street, is the local Masonic Lodge. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Scoggins himself attends there. The man who told us it blew up at 143. Not all Freemasons are in on what's going on, but ones at a certain level are. Ones who are initiated high enough and connected enough are. Freemasons, order through chaos, divide and conquer. Big G in Francis Bacon Gematria represents 33. The way that method works is lowercase a through lowercase z is worth 1 through 26. Z is the 26th letter. Uppercase a through uppercase z is worth 27 through 52. Big G, 33. Masons also have grand lodges. Grand has Gematria 44. The temple for George Washington that's 333 foot tall is in Alexandria, having Gematria 44. Big G, 33 and 44. Natural gas leak, 44. Nice, convenient, numerological excuse. The witness they put out there, his name was Corey Orvold, we're told, which has Gematria of 62 like Mason. Just makes me wonder. Sometimes things can be a coincidence, but not always. They remind us how there was a suspicious explosion at a Motel 6 in Bremerton up by the Canadian border 6 months earlier. Here's the reporting from the local Seattle PI. I mean, gas leak, really? Looks like a bomb went off there. And that's probably what did go off. Seattle PI, also probably edited by Masons, image 1 of 22. I don't think that's any coincidence that they chose 22 images. Seattle's on the 122nd meridian, which is what Freemason equals in the Francis Bacon method, and also on the 47th parallel. What's interesting about 47 is the word time has a gematria of 47, and Saturn is said to be the keeper of time. Saturn equals 93. Today's March 9th, written 9/3, a lot like Saturn. Explosion on the 47th parallel. For you Seattleites, did you know that your Space Needle does a full rotation? Its restaurant does a full rotation every 47 minutes. Time equals 47. Very important number to the Masons. From reporting from the Seattle PI, the explosion occurred at about 1:45. We know from Scoggins it was 1:43. The fire response was still going on at 5:15 a.m. And if you're good at math, you'll notice that's a span of 3 hours and 30 minutes, kind of like how they tweeted at 3:30. Firefighters had been called to the 8400 block of Greenwood Avenue at 1:04. 10:04 means message received. That means it also exploded 39 minutes later at 1:43 on 3/9. None of this is accident. This is what I reveal routinely in the news and the way things are reported, all with number syncs that correspond with the date, the location, etc. 10:4 message received there 39 minutes before the explosion on 3/9. 1:45 a.m., as they put it here, is also the 105th minute of the day. I just point out that Zionism and Masonry equal 105, directly connected to the Masonic lodge across the street. Trying to give you a visual representation of about 1:45, hand in the 1 hour slot on the 9, Seattle 19. Again, Chief Harold Scoggins talked about how his name syncs up with the date. Look at his full name, though, in Pythagorean Gematria. 119, special numbers. All-seeing eye equals 119. Star of David equals 119, reminding us of September 11th. Let us not forget the firm that built the World Trade Centers is out of Seattle. The coffee shop that exploded is also called the Neptune. I was thinking about if there's any clues in there, some sort of astrological meaning. Neptune has a connection to Poseidon. Poseidon rules the sea. Earlier this year, we saw Fox News saying that the Pacific Northwest is going to be hit by a 10.0 or higher earthquake that could destroy the whole region, cause a massive tsunami. Talk about that in a moment. I don't know that any of that's going to happen. I've grown up in the Pacific Northwest my whole life. Since kindergarten, they've been telling us the massive earthquake's going to come any day. And I mean, it could, but, I've been hearing that since I was 5 years old. I'm 32 now. Also, this comes in March. 2 years ago in March, we definitely got a hoax. The Oh So Strong fundraising campaign that was all based on a lie, a manufactured event, a manufactured tragedy. If you haven't seen my video on this, it was all by the numbers. Notice that the date it happened on, 3/22/14, 3 plus 22 is 25, plus 14 more is 39, happened on a date with 39 numerology. This time, the tragedy in March on 3/9. Anyhow, Oso has simple English gematria 49, like Washington in Pythagorean gematria. They went with that phrase, oh so strong. Strong has the gematria of 93. Also 39 the small way, reminding us of today's date. Oh so strong equals 142. When you write out 42, it sums to 142. Washington is the 42nd state in order of statehood. Freemason equals 42. Named after 33rd degree Freemason George Washington. Notice the time of the mudslide, 10:37 a.m. In numerology, 0 doesn't count, so it's a lot like 137. 137 is the 33rd prime number. So people love to do things by the 33. It happened after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Seahawks won the Super Bowl on the 33rd day of the year, February 2nd, 2014. The landslide happened 48 days later. Remember, today's event comes on a date with 48 numerology, as we talked about in the beginning. Some things could be a coincidence. Words that have gematria 48, Illuminati, which are really the Masons, the Zionists, the Jesuits, the people in the secret societies and high places. Evil has gematria 48. Hoax has gematria 48. This isn't a hoax. The buildings definitely blew apart. I already talked to somebody who lived in the neighborhood. I used to spend a lot of time in Greenwood myself. I know all sorts of people over there. The buildings are definitely destroyed. But the reasoning, you could say that's a hoax. I'm leaning towards bomb, purposeful explosion, most definitely. And if you didn't see my video earlier this year when Fox News was saying that this massive earthquake could hit any day, got people up in a stir real quick, I was laughing because Here's why. Shepard Smith is who delivered the news. Shepard Smith has name gematria that matches false prophet perfectly. And what else is interesting about Fox News is Fox News has gematria of 106, just like prophecy. And as I pointed out in the beginning, Greenwood also equals 106, having this number of prophecy. You know, in total, it all becomes a little bit interesting, a little bit more alarming. You consider what's been in the movies lately. MTV has a new show that's set in the future. It shows the city of Seattle destroyed, the Space Needle tipped over. There's been other movies that have come out recently destroying Seattle, video games with destroyed Seattle. They did the remake of Red Dawn, the attacks in Seattle in the beginning. And Seattle being on the 47th parallel, as I've shown in other videos, wars, when they start, often have to do with that number. The United States has been a warmongering nation its entire existence, but it hasn't really had war come to the nation. That could change in the future, and should it change, Seattle will definitely be a heavily targeted city. Military city, port city, on the coast, on the coordinates. So anyway, I want to rep this channel right here, Spudgy Pang. I'm going to link this channel in the description of this video, so you can just click that description. He has been putting out a number of videos showing Seattle headlines and all this predictive programming for destruction in Seattle. He even comments on things such as the Legion of Boom, with the football teams nicknamed. There's been headlines about this rail line they're building under the city and how they're going to be bringing through this very explosive form of oil that they mine out of Montana and North Dakota. All sorts of interesting stuff he's catching on to. I definitely think that Seattle, a city that has an X on it for a future false flag, and many other cities might as well, but Seattle, it's a city that lines up by these Masonic numbers. These people do their rituals by the numbers, which is the message I'm trying to pound home. And again, Seattle also home of the firm that built the World Trade Centers, Magnuson Klemenkic Associates. If you haven't seen my video on them, check it out. I've tried to call this place numerous times. They won't return my call. In gematria, their name equals 111 and 156. We talked about 111 in the beginning. New York equals 111, where the World Trade Centers were. September 11th is the day that leaves 111 days left in the year, the day they fell down. With regards to 156, their other name gematria, 911 is the 156th prime number. These buildings fell down on 9/11, as we well know. And what a lot of people don't know about the World Trade Centers is that when they were built, people who owned property, they did not want these buildings built because there was already all sorts of vacancies in office space in Manhattan and New York. There was no need for new office buildings. So to build 2 towers, 110 stories each, full of office buildings, didn't make any sense. People who had property were worried it would completely deflate values. Just ask yourself, why would a city be appointing money to build massive towers that are unnecessary for the city? We know why. They were built for the ritual that happened on 2001. Those construction began in 68 for those buildings. They fell down in 2001, 33 years later. 1968, the same year 911 made the National Emergency Dialing Code. Same year George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. Same year Space Odyssey 2001 came out. 33 years before 2001. These people operate by the numbers. They plan things out way in advance. They do rituals along the way. The 93 World Trade Center bombing was part of the ritual. Makes me think of their logo, showing the building underground. After the 93 World Trade Center bombing, I bet you anything they planted whatever they did to bring those buildings all the way down on 2001. Or at least help prep it. And again, natural gas leak 143, an explosion at 1:43 a.m. blamed on a natural gas leak. So for all of you who watch this and never seen one of my videos before, please check out my channel. Please subscribe. Please see my other work. I put out lots of important knowledge about wrongdoing in the media. This story weighs relatively small. See the work I just put out on May 23rd, upcoming this year, and you can judge me from that. I think that video will open most people's eyes. Alright, Truth Seeker, until next time.